My name is Lukman Bello, and I'm on the DevRel team at Paystack. I know it has been a long day so far. I hope you still have some attention for me, um, but yes, what I want to talk about today is an idea of programmable everything. You guys probably saw the video downstairs, the Paystack terminal launch video. So this is our first foray into building a physical device and so what I want to share here is our approach to building this device, what we hoped to achieve by building this. And yeah, my presentation today is going to be in three parts. The first part is I just want to share the idea of a programmable universe. What does that mean? What does that entail? Then also, next thing will be to show a sneak peek of the Paystack terminal that we've built based on this product philosophy that the universe is programmable. And lastly, I want to invite you to come and build for the future with us. Right. There was an idea that the universe is programmable and we have the power to shape the world in incredible ways. Now, I would argue that is the ultimate programmer, creating the universe in a 6-day hackathon, and the seventh day I think we can assume was for deployment and peer review. But the result of that grand hackathon is this world that we live in now, that now contains elemental blocks for which we can develop formal processes, run processes around to achieve set intended results. Or basically, this is what programming is. This is what you write code for, your process, right? Some real life examples of this, right? We have pharmaceutical scientists that play with enzymes and proteins to try to cure diseases. Most recently, we saw this with the COVID mRNA vaccine. The vaccine is literal code to teach your body how to fight the virus. Before the invention of mRNA vaccines, what they had to do was they would introduce a less harmful version of the virus into your bloodstream, and then your body would fight a less harmful one, and then with that, it is able to fight the real virus. But with the mRNA vaccine, like you don't have to introduce your body to any form of harm at all, no matter how less harmful it is. What you have to do is upload the code. That is what is inside the AstraZeneca and all of those vaccines. It is specifications of the virus that's to teach your body how to recreate the protein it needs to fight the virus. Another example, we have electrical engineers that build very complex circuits, right, to power switch is 1 or 0. No matter how complex the switch is, it is 1 or 0 that ends up at the end of the day. And transistors, which are the greatest invention of the 20th century, they are made up of blocks of silicon, and so depending on the configuration of this block of silicon, the transistor would either let currents pass through it or stop the currents from flowing. Again, 1 or 0. Now, this base idea that you can configure a block of silicon and let it decide 1 or 0 this is what your computers are made up of. One single transistor is cool, but when you have hundreds of millions of them on a small board, now you have a computer. And this is what I mean by saying that after God's 6-day hackathon, he created elemental blocks of the universe that we can now program. All right, one final example. Even con artists and pickpockets, they have social scripts that they run. They don't just come up to you to take money from your pocket. They have steps they would follow up to when they pick your pocket. The point I'm trying to make with all of these analogies is that everyone is becoming a programmer, and the next step is to realize that everything is a program. And once you realize that, you're able to apply the same programming principles to other problems in the world. Right, and this is the general idea of this presentation. Just like you can write code for your mobile phones or browsers, the entire universe is programmable, and you have the power to shape and reshape almost anything in the world. Keith Axline for Wired. Right, the idea that the universe is programmable is it's not a proverb. It is a very important and useful shift in your mindset, because once you make that shift, you start to see the world as building blocks and variables and procedures that make up the entire system. And now once you see it from that direction, you can now apply what I would call the programmatic method. You design, you develop, you debug, deploy, and repeat all over and all over again until you have a solution that works. If you had thought about your idea that you had when I asked if the entire world was programmable, what would you build? It's likely to have these three components. Software is somewhere, you have the physical world, and then we have people. Software is obviously programmable. That's a given, right? The physical world, I would argue that it is as well, because with the emergence of Internet of Things technologies, like about 23 years ago, you can literally stick a microcontroller in any device and make it smart. You can you can write code for it and have it communicate with other devices. So this is already existing. Now for people, that's a harder problem to solve. But just with this, you can see that 70% of we have 70% of the solution that we could start implementing. So this, again, the idea that the universe is programmable is not so far-fetched after all, right? Yeah, for the third time again, if there's a takeaway, I think, from this, remember this. We can shape the world in incredibly powerful ways. We only need to be ambitious enough to dare. And this audacity to dare is a core tenet of how we think about building products at Paystack. It's not enough to say that this is not how so-and-so works, right? You have to ask the follow-up question, why does this not work that way? How do we redefine how it works already? How do we redefine how it should work in the first place, right? And this is something, and the latest product which we've built based off of this is the Paystack terminal. Now, we're coming back to this in a minute. Is there a world where, now, this phrase, is there a world where something exists? Is there a world where this and this does not work this way? This phrase comes up in about any product ideation or brainstorming session at Paystack. And this phrasing the question in this way, it shifts your attention away from the fact that it shifts your attention away from the blockers you have to solving your problem right now to a future where it has already been solved. And all you have to do is retrace your steps and you figure out the solution. Now, and so naturally, this phrase is something that came up quite a lot when we're building Terminal. Yeah, this is a new territory for us. I'm sure, as you're all aware, all of our products up until now have been aimed at facilitating people get paid online. Has been aimed at helping people get paid online, and I would like to think that we've done a good job so far with multiple payment channels, easy to use documentation, phenomenal success rates. And so when we're building Terminal, one important thing for us was that we had to bring what we've done in the online space into the physical world that we are now interacting with. They cannot exist in silos away from each other, right? And so when we're building Terminal, questions that, some of the important questions that we had to answer, is there a world where we bring the solutions that we built for online payments into the physical world? How do we close the loop between online payments and offline payments to create a fully featured digital payment suite? And also, if we are saying that your POS should work harder for you, what would you have it to do? Answering these questions was what led us to building the Terminal in this way. Now, at the bottom of this, right, we have our core infrastructure, which consists of our integrations into our banking partners, card schemes, core ledger, and database, right? This is the engine that Paystack runs on. Now, a level higher, we have the Paystack API, which if you've integrated Paystack before, you are familiar with. Now, this is what developers interact with to build solutions for online payments already. All the features I mentioned earlier that I said we've built for online payments, they all sit here. So now when we wanted to build for Terminal, in this second tier, these two new, the terminal app and the POS middleware were the new interactions in this block. Now, the terminal app is what sits on the terminal device right here. It's an Android app, and the POS middleware acts as an intermediary between the terminal app, the API, and the core infrastructure. And what this interactivity helps you do, it means that all of the features that we've built for the online payments, split payments, recurring charges, what you can, webhooks, events on your dashboard, all of these things, I don't not to go into all of them, that they would also now be available because we are able to, because it is one core system. It is not offline, online. It is one system. They are all, and now because of these two layers, the core infrastructure, this second tier, we are also now able to build the events API, custom forms, terminal SDK, which all of these are tools for developers to build applications, to customize the terminal and build physical payment experiences. I'll go into detail of how they work later, in later slide, but yeah, this is the structure. And then finally, the POS, which could have, the card reader is there on the side. It reads the card details and transmits it to the terminal app for processing, and the flow continues that way. Now, from the architecture I just showed you, it's clear that the terminal is not just a POS, but a platform that helps ambitious teams build programmable in-person payment experiences. It is not just, this is, when say we are launching Paystack Terminal, this is what you are saying, yeah? But this is not the product. This is a one piece of the entire puzzle. And when I talk about that helping ambitious teams build programmable implement experiences, I'll show you a quick demo of what I mean by that. We have 3 demos for you today, but I'll start with this demo setup that I have here, right? This prototype circuit, it consists of an ESP32 board that has a Wi-Fi chip on board. It has an RFID card reader, a buzzer, 2 LEDs, and a LED matrix. Now, what this circuit does is that whenever you scan an RFID card on this, wherever in another room, it's going to start a transaction on the terminal. And then when you complete the transaction on the terminal sends the notification back to this device, and then it shows you pretty lights and makes buzzer sounds. Do we have a volunteer who wants to pay 7.5 naira on the POS to demo this? Or that you? All right, please come on. 7.5 naira. It is live payments. You will be charged. Please encourage him for. Thank you. To start the process, you scan the RFID card here. Okay, now it's detected that and it's pushing the transaction. Yes, so it has started. It has initiated the transaction on the POS now. I should see if I can show this. All right. Yeah, so just complete it. We should not see your pen. Okay. All right, successful. Now we're waiting for, So now that the payment is complete, the board is displaying pretty lights and showing you love emoji. The board loves you. Thank you very much. Please, thank you. Give me a round of applause for the demo. Now, yes, if you have any issues with your payments, please present your receipts as the counter. Yeah, so this demo, this simple demo that I'm showing you, lights and scanning an RFID card, like pretty simple, but think about what this demo represents. Because the RFID that I used to start the transaction could be anything else. It could be me pressing a button on a vending machine, right? And these pretty lights that are showing up after the payment is complete, it did not have to be lights. It could be whatever you need to do to deliver value to your customers after they've paid you. So what this means is whatever the physical experience is, if the customer has to pay you in person, you can program what that experience should look like. And to show another live, real life demo of what this setup is, if any of you have been to the Burger King in, I think, is it VI here? Bagada and VI, they've built a completely self-serve. Let me play this. They built a completely self-serve system where you can order your burger, make the payments completely without having to talk to anyone. So now to go back into the specifics of the terminal itself, right? So the terminal, first, the card reader is a smart peak P1000 fully featured POS. It's an Android device that works out of the box. Now, with this card reader alone, businesses are able to accept payments through multiple payment channels. Other persons accept only card, but this can accept pay with transfer and USSD. One very funny thing I think I realized just in way Nigeria. The central payment provider for all banks is Bank Settlement NIPS. We power all the card payments on all POSs in Nigeria. So that means if NIPS is down for 5 minutes, nobody in the entire country can pay on the POS. But with the terminal instead, there's a backup. You can pay with pay with USSD or pay with bank transfer, which people want to do anyways. And you just pay with bank transfer, you get notification, and you walk out of the store. Also, quick end of the day reconciliation, blazing fast transactions. It works on Wi-Fi, so connect to the fastest network you have. Split payments, you have easy refunds, and you can receive your payout anywhere. But these are the standard out-of-the-box features. Now, when you pair the card reader with the terminal APIs and SDKs, you can build some pretty incredible things. Why? Because, first of all, custom apps on the terminal. You can build an app that sits directly on the terminal and process payments on it. So because it's an Android device, that means you can build an Android app that sits on it, right? And when it's time to accept payments, it pushes the transaction to the terminal app itself to collect the transaction. And then when it's done, again, returns the notification. Now, think about the applications of this. Your e-commerce delivery riders, e-commerce businesses can accept pay on delivery without having to be concerned about reconciliation. It will not make a difference to the business whether the payment was made in person or online because it's all connected to the same APIs, and they can do that. We have events. They can start a transaction from anywhere and push the transaction into the terminal. So you can start a transaction on the cloud, wherever your server is hosted, just like I did here with this device, and then push the transaction to a very specific terminal device for processing and get a response for that via the API. Now, you can also build custom forms on this device. So by custom forms, what I mean by that is think about a telco provider, for example, that you want to, PHCN, Ikeja Electric, you want to buy electricity units. Before Ikeja Electric can sell you units, they have to ask for your meter number. Now, you can build a form to enter the meter number. Then once that is entered, we would send it back to your server for you to validate it. And if you do that, and if you validate it, then you can now say, charge the customer so and so amount. And we see that here. So whatever experience you need for your business to accept in-person payments, the point is, this is programmable with this device. And lastly, integration with existing ARPs, new or existing ARPs, whatever your backend system is built with, because of these multiple features I mentioned again earlier, and the fact that the API is interoperable, like it's a REST API, like as long as the system has internet, all you have to do is make a get or a post request to it, and you get a response from this device. So I have other demos also set up here just to show all of these different features. So we have a WooCommerce, I think we should be able to show them. We have a WooCommerce store that accepts in-person payments. A WooCommerce store hosted on WordPress. A custom Android event ticketing app that sits directly on the terminal. So as an event planner or event ticketing platform, you want to sell tickets at the gates, but not have to accept cash. You can build your events ticketing app. Also, we have a demo app for that that we can test out as well. And then lastly, which I've already shown you, the Internet of Things setup built on ASP32 microcontroller. We've already shown that.